We all experience emotional pain, it's part of being human.
Yeah.
But so often, instead of trying to understand that pain, we just try to bury it, distract ourselves or tell ourselves we've moved on.
Yeah.
But what if I told you that pain is actually like a powerful message, a guide leading us towards something much deeper?
That's certainly not the conventional way of thinking about pain.
Right.
But that's exactly what Carl Jung's concept of the shadow suggests.
Jung and the shadow. No, that's a deep dive.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're doing today,
That's right.
You shared a video with us from the Psychotic YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Called Why Emotional Wounds Never Heal Until You... And it really zeroes in on this idea of the shadow and its connection to our unhealed wounds.
Yeah, Psychotic dives deep into personal transformation and self-discovery. And I thought this video would be a great jumping off point.
Yeah.
For exploring how understanding our shadow can be the key to unlocking our true potential.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay.
The video really emphasizes how much energy we put into running from pain. We try to bury it under distractions.
Right.
Quick fixes anything to avoid confronting it head on.
Yeah.
But Psychotic makes a really compelling point. That pain persists because it's desperately trying to tell us something important.
It's like a persistent alarm clock, you know?
Yeah.
That just won't shut off until you address the underlying issue.
Okay.
We might hit the snooze button over and over again,
Right.
but eventually we have to wake up and face what's causing that alarm to go off in the first place.
So ignoring the alarm only makes things worse.
Exactly. And those consequences can manifest in all sorts of ways.
Okay.
Self-sabotage, unhealthy relationships, repeating the same mistakes.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of being stuck in a loop.
Yeah.
Jung believed that what we deny actually ends up controlling us.
This raises an interesting question then. How does this idea of the shadow connect to those unhealed emotional wounds?
Well, for Jung, the shadow is that part of ourselves that we reject, repress, or simply refuse to acknowledge. It's not about being a bad person.
Right.
But rather about those aspects of ourselves, both positive and negative, that we've deemed unacceptable and pushed into the dark.
So you're saying that our shadow could actually hold the key to things we want, but are afraid to embrace.
Precisely. It's like this hidden reservoir of energy and possibility.
Okay.
But it's often tangled up with the stuff we've labeled as bad or wrong.
Wait, so you're telling me that our emotional pain isn't some random mistake?
Yeah.
But a direct path to that hidden potential within our shadow?
Jung saw emotional suffering as a powerful guide.
Okay.
Pointing us toward what needs to be addressed within ourselves. It's like our psyche is trying to get our attention, saying, hey, there's something here you need to look at.
So instead of running from those feelings, we should be leaning into them?
That's the idea.
Okay, but Psychotic uses some pretty intense language to describe this process. Talking about looking into the abyss without turning away makes it sound pretty daunting.
It definitely takes courage to confront our shadow.
Yeah.
We're naturally wired to steer clear of discomfort and fear, but the rewards can be immense.
Okay.
Think about it. If those feelings we're trying so hard to bury are actually valuable signposts.
Right.
Imagine what we might discover by following.
Okay, I'm starting to see the potential here, but how do we even begin to approach this shadow? Is the goal to try to get rid of it completely?
That's a great question, and the answer might surprise you.
Okay.
We can't actually eliminate the shadow.
Okay.
And we shouldn't try to.
Hold on. That sounds a little counterintuitive. I thought the whole point was to heal these emotional wounds, not make friends with our inner darkness.
I know, it seems strange. But the true goal is integration, not elimination.
Okay.
Think of it this way. Imagine the shadow as like a map, highlighting the parts of ourselves we've neglected, the potentials we haven't developed. Instead of seeing it as something to be feared, we can view it as a guide to becoming more whole.
So we're not trying to destroy our shadow, but rather understand and integrate it into our sense of self.
Exactly. And that process of integration, of bringing those hidden parts of ourselves into the light, is where the real transformation happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Integration sounds like a powerful process.
Yeah.
But Psychotic uses the phrase alchemy of the psyche to describe this transformation. They make it sound like a pretty intense, almost mystical experience.
The concept of alchemy, turning lead into gold, is a great analogy for what happens when we engage in shadow work.
Okay.
It's about taking something that seems heavy and burdensome, those parts of ourselves we've rejected, and transforming them into something valuable and beautiful.
That makes sense, but Psychotic also doesn't shy away from the fact that this transformation can be messy and painful.
Right.
They even use the phrase descent into hell Are they saying that shadow work can actually make things feel worse before they get better?
It's true that shadow work isn't a quick fix.
Right.
Or a guarantee of instant bliss.
Yeah, okay.
As we start to peel back the layers of our psyche,
Yeah.
we might encounter resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Our shadows don't just give up easily.
Right.
We might find ourselves wanting to distract ourselves or make excuses for why we can't do the work.
I definitely know that feeling. It's like that voice in your head saying, this is too hard. Let's just go back to how things were.
Exactly. That's the voice of fear.
Yeah.
Trying to keep us in our comfort zones, even if those comfort zones are causing us pain.
So how do we push past that resistance? How do we know we're truly committed to doing the work?
Commitment is key.
Okay.
Shadow work asks us to confront the darkness within us.
Yeah.
Not to destroy it, but to understand that it holds the key to our liberation. It's about choosing to engage in a deep and lasting change. And that requires self-compassion.
Yeah.
Recognizing that these shadows are a part of us.
Right.
Not something to be ashamed of.
That's a really important point. Psychotic emphasizes that the goal isn't to become some perfect, idealized version of ourselves,
Right.
but to embrace our wholeness.
Yeah.
Both the light and the dark. That's what they mean by the alchemy of the psyche, right?
It's precisely that true transformation happens when we allow ourselves to be broken down and rebuilt. And remember, this isn't about reaching some end goal of perfect self-acceptance.
Right.
It's an ongoing journey of self-discovery and growth.
So it's a process, not a destination.
Yeah.
It's a continuously evolving and becoming more aligned with our authentic selves.
Exactly.
But Psychotic also talks about how reclaiming our shadows can lead to the discovery of hidden talent, creativity, and a sense of inner strength we never knew we had. That sounds incredibly empowering.
It absolutely can be.
Yeah. Think of it this way.
Okay.
By integrating our shadow, we're removing limitations.
We might not have even realized we had.
Right.
Opening ourselves up to a world of possibilities that can include rediscovering talents we've pushed aside.
Okay.
Or finding the courage to pursue new passions.
That makes this whole descent into hell sound a lot more like an exciting adventure.
I think that's the key takeaway.
Yeah.
Yes, facing our shadows can be challenging.
Right.
But it's also an incredibly rewarding journey.
Right.
But Psychotic is also clear
Yeah.
that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to shadow work.
Okay.
What works for one person might not work for another.
Right,
It's a deeply personal journey.
So where do we even begin?
Yeah.
How do we actually start exploring our own shadows?
The Psychotic suggests starting with self-reflection,
Okay.
paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
Okay.
What patterns keep repeating in your life?
Yeah.
What emotions do you try to avoid?
Right.
It's about becoming more aware of the things we might be trying to push down or ignore.
That makes sense. But for someone who's been avoiding those shadow parts for a long time, that self-reflection can be pretty intimidating.
Absolutely. But the key is to approach those shadow parts with curiosity and compassion.
Okay.
Asking ourselves, what's this trying to tell me? What can I learn from this? Remember, those shadow elements aren't separate from you.
Right.
They're a part of you that's yearning to be integrated, brought into the wholeness of who you truly are. And there are some practical tools you can use to do that.
Like what?
Well, Jung himself was a big proponent of working with dreams.
Okay.
He believed our dreams were a direct line to the unconscious, where the shadow resides.
Right.
And there's a technique he developed called active imagination
Okay.
that can help us engage directly with our shadow figures and learn from them.
So it's about actively engaging with those hidden parts of ourselves, not just trying to analyze them from a distance.
Exactly. It's about building a relationship with our shadow,
Okay.
understanding its motivations,
Right.
and finding ways to integrate its wisdom into our conscious lives.
Wow. Working with dreams and active imagination, those sound like powerful tools. But, this has been such a dense conversation.
Yeah.
So much to think about. What's the key takeaway you want to leave our listeners today?
I think the most important thing to remember is that our emotional pain isn't something to be feared or avoided. It's actually a valuable source of information, a guide pointing us towards growth and transformation. And, Psychotic really hits the nail on the head when they emphasize that true power lies not in eliminating our shadows, but in embracing their lessons and integrating them into a more complete sense of self.
It's almost like we've been given this incredible gift, this inner compass.
Yeah.
But we've been too afraid to even look at it. We're so focused on fixing or eliminating those parts of ourselves that we miss out on the wisdom they hold.
That's right. And when we try to deny those parts of ourselves, they often end up manifesting in unhealthy ways.
That reminds me of a quote by Jung that Psychotic mentioned. The task is not to get to the light, but to bring the light to the dark.
That's such a powerful image.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging the darkness, the parts of ourselves that we might not like, and then choosing to illuminate them with understanding and compassion.
So facing our shadow isn't about becoming some perfect, flawless version of ourselves, but rather about embracing our wholeness, our imperfections and all.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that those shadow parts are just as much a part of us as the parts we readily show the world. And in fact, by integrating those shadow parts, we can unlock a level of authenticity and personal power that we might never have thought possible.
I love that reclaiming those lost pieces of ourselves, weaving them into a more vibrant and complete sense of who we are. But I have to admit, it can feel a little overwhelming knowing where to start.
Well, Psychotic suggests starting with simple self-reflection.
Okay.
Noticing those recurring patterns, especially the ones that cause pain or keep us feeling stuck.
Yeah.
What thoughts and feelings do you try to push away?
It's about becoming more aware of those things we might be trying to avoid. But it's more than just awareness, right? It's about shifting our perspective.
Exactly. Instead of judging or rejecting those shadow parts, we can approach them with curiosity, asking ourselves, what's this trying to tell me? What can I learn from this?
And maybe even challenging those beliefs we've been holding on to about ourselves, the ones that might be keeping us stuck.
That's such an important part of the process, being willing to question those old narratives and create new ones that are more aligned with who we truly are.
This has been such a thought-provoking deep dive. I feel like we've just scratched the surface of this incredibly complex and fascinating topic.
There's definitely much more to explore.
Yeah.
And I encourage everyone listening to dive deeper into Jung's work on the shadow as well as other resources that resonate with you.
But I think the most important thing is to approach this journey with a sense of curiosity, compassion, and a willingness to be surprised by what we discover about ourselves.
Beautifully said. Remember, the shadow is not the enemy. It's a part of us that's longing to be integrated, to be brought into the light of our awareness.
And by embracing that shadow, we can unlock a level of wholeness and authenticity that we might never have thought possible. So to our listener, we leave you with this question. What aspect of yourself have you been running from? What potential might be hiding in your own shadow, waiting to be discovered? Take a deep breath and dare to look a little close. You might be amazed by what you find.